I stood in our backyard, surveying the space where Nancy's wedding would take place the next day. The white chairs were arranged in neat rows facing the oak tree, where she and Josh would exchange their vows against the backdrop of rolling hills and a glistening lake. Peter and I had bought this property 3 years ago, and it truly was something special. "It looks amazing, Evelyn," he said, coming up behind me and wrapping his arms around my waist. "Nancy's going to be thrilled." I leaned back against his chest. "I hope so. I've been planning this for months." "You've gone above and beyond. Most people would have just offered the venue." "Well, she's your best friend. And I wanted her day to be perfect." Peter kissed the top of my head. "That's why I love you, you always think of others. They should be here soon for the rehearsal. I just want to make sure everything's ready." "Trust me, it is," he said, giving me a reassuring squeeze. "You've thought of everything." "You really think so?" "I know so, you're amazing." The sound of tires on gravel interrupted our moment. Nancy and Josh arrived. "They're here," I said, feeling a rush of excitement. "I can't wait to show her everything." Nancy stepped out of her car, and her fiancé followed, looking slightly overwhelmed as always. "There's my beautiful bride," I called out, walking toward them with open arms. Nancy gave me a quick, stiff hug. "The chairs are all wrong." I blinked, taken aback. "What do you mean?" "I wanted them in a semicircle, not straight rows." "Did you not get my text?" I pulled out my phone, checking for messages. "I don't see anything about a semicircle." She sighed dramatically. "Whatever. We can fix it." "Where are the flowers?" "They're being delivered tomorrow morning, fresh as we discussed." Nancy frowned. "I hope they get the colors right this time." The sample bouquet was all wrong. Behind her, Josh gave me an apologetic smile. We had barely spoken since arriving. A delivery truck rumbled up the driveway, followed by 2 more vehicles. Finally, Nancy muttered, then raised her voice. "Over here. Start unloading everything." She turned to me, her face suddenly serious. "We need to talk." "Sure, what's up?" I asked, still smiling. Nancy grabbed my arm and pulled me away from the others. "What's going on?" I asked, confused by her intensity. Her expression hardened into something I'd never seen before. "Look, Evelyn, you gave us the venue, it's nice and all. But listen, I don't want you at the wedding tomorrow." "What?" I stared at her, certain I had misheard. "You heard me," she said, her voice cold and detached. "I don't want you there." "I don't understand." "Why?" She rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. You know why." I shook my head, genuinely confused. "Why didn't anyone tell me you used to date Josh?" she demanded. The realization hit me like a slap. Josh and I had a brief college fling, but it ended, and we went our separate ways. We never spoke again until Nancy introduced him at their engagement, and even then, our conversation never went beyond a simple hi or hello. That was nothing. A stupid college thing over a decade ago. We weren't even serious, it didn't last, and we stayed acquaintances. It wasn't even worth mentioning. "Well, I don't care," Nancy snapped. "It's my day, and I don't want some woman who used to sleep with my fiancé standing around, making it weird." "So yeah, you're not coming." The words hung between us as my mind struggled to process what was happening. After everything I'd done, the months of planning, the countless hours spent helping her choose decorations, the cake tastings, and the vendor meetings, she was uninviting me from a wedding on my own property? "Nancy, you can't be serious. This is my home. And I'm grateful you let us use it," she replied with a dismissive wave. "Peter can still come, of course. Just not you. After everything I've done for your wedding?" Which I appreciate. But this is non-negotiable. Before I could respond, she turned toward the delivery crew and snapped her fingers. Go ahead and start unloading everything. The casual way she commanded people on my property, right after uninviting me from the celebration, was surreal. I stood frozen, unable to form a coherent response. Then I felt Peter's hand on my shoulder. The warmth of his touch grounded me. Everything okay here? He asked, his eyes moving between Nancy and me. Nancy's smile returned instantly. Just girl talk. She doesn't want me at the wedding, I said flatly. Peter's posture stiffened. What? Don't make it a big deal, Nancy sighed. It's just that I recently found out she and Josh used to date, and it makes me uncomfortable. Hold on, Peter said, his voice sharp. So let me get this straight, you're fine using our home for free, my wife has spent months helping you with this wedding, but now you're banning her from attending? Nancy huffed and crossed her arms. Don't be so dramatic. It's not a big deal. She just needs to respect my wishes on my wedding day. Peter let out a cold laugh that sent chills down my spine. In the 7 years we'd been together, I'd rarely seen him angry. Then maybe you should find somewhere else to have it. Nancy's eyes widened in outrage. You're joking, right? The wedding is tomorrow. Where else am I supposed to have it? You can't just kick us out like this. Actually, I can, Peter replied. And I just did. Nancy's face flushed red. You two are the most selfish people I've ever met. After everything I've been through, you should be grateful I even invited you in the first place. This isn't about you. It's about me. You owe me this. Her voice rose to a screech, attracting attention from the delivery crew and Josh, who hurried over. What's going on? He asked, looking concerned. They're kicking us out. Nancy cried, tears suddenly springing to her eyes. They're ruining our wedding because your ex-girlfriend is jealous. I gasped at the accusation. That's not true. You just told me I couldn't come to the wedding, in my own home. Josh looked confused. Wait, what? Why wouldn't Evelyn come? Because you dated her. Nancy snapped. And no one thought to tell me until I heard it from your best friend, Willie. Josh's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. You mean our 2-month thing freshman year of college? Before I even knew you existed? You think you can just pull this at the last minute? Nancy ignored him, focusing her rage on Peter and me. Do you know how much money I spent on planning this? You can't just ruin my wedding because you're bitter. I felt like I'd been slapped. Bitter? Me? After I helped with everything? Peter stepped forward, placing himself slightly between Nancy and me. No, Nancy. You ruined your own wedding the moment you thought you could treat my wife like garbage in her own home. Nancy let out a dramatic scoff and turned to Josh. Do something. Josh shifted awkwardly, his eyes fixed on the ground. It was clear he wanted no part in this. Josh? Maybe we should talk about this calmly, he suggested weakly. There's nothing to discuss, Peter said firmly. I want you off our property. Now. Nancy's face contorted with rage. Fine. I'll sue you for this. You can't do this to me. I will make you both regret it. Good luck with that. Now get off our property. For a moment, I thought Nancy might physically attack one of us. Her hands were clenched into fists, and her entire body trembled with fury. Nancy, Josh said quietly, let's go. You're taking their side, she whirled on him. I'm not taking sides. But this isn't helping. She looked around wildly at the half-unloaded trucks, the arranged chairs, and the scattered boxes of decorations. What am I supposed to do now? The wedding is tomorrow. I felt a twinge of sympathy despite everything. Then I remembered how quickly she decided to ban me from my own home. That's not our problem anymore, I said. The next hour was chaos. Nancy screamed, cursed, and threw a full-blown tantrum. At one point, she grabbed a box of table settings and hurled it to the ground, sending plates shattering across our driveway. "You'll pay for this," she shrieked. "Both of you." Josh finally managed to guide her to the car, whispering something in her ear that seemed to momentarily calm her. As they drove away, the delivery crew stood awkwardly, awaiting instructions. "You can take everything back," Peter told them. "The wedding won't be happening here." I spent the rest of the day in a daze, canceling vendors and requesting refunds for everything we paid for. The cake, flowers, and catering were all gone with a few phone calls. That evening, Peter and I sat on our porch swing, looking out at the half-dismantled wedding setup. "I'm sorry," I said softly. He looked at me, surprised. "For what?" "For causing all this drama. If I had just told you about Josh." "Stop," he interrupted gently. "You didn't cause anything. It was such a minor thing, and it happened long ago. Nancy showed her true colors today, and that's not on you." I leaned my head against his shoulder. "Do you think she'll actually sue us?" "Let her try. We didn't sign any contracts. This was a favor for a friend who turned out not to be one at all." I still can't believe how quickly it all fell apart. Some people are only nice when they get what they want, Evie. The minute you stand up for yourself, the mask comes off. A week later, we heard through mutual friends that Nancy and Josh had gotten married in a rushed ceremony at a local hotel. The photos showed a much smaller affair than what had been planned at our home. Surprisingly, Josh texted Peter a few days after. "Nancy's still upset, but I wanted to apologize for how everything went down. I should have spoken up more." Peter showed me the message, but he didn't reply. Some bridges, once burned, weren't worth rebuilding. The thing is, I don't regret a moment of what happened. Because that day taught me something valuable: never compromise your dignity for people who wouldn't do the same for you. Some might say we overreacted by canceling Nancy's wedding at the last minute. But I'll tell you what's truly an overreaction: uninviting someone from an event at their own home because of a meaningless college fling from over a decade ago. In the end, it wasn't about that ancient history with Josh. It was about respect. And if there's one thing I've learned from this whole experience, it's that I deserve at least that much. We all do. Write in the comments what would you have done and subscribe to our channel. D-Damn Mix.